Hey guys, Jeff here. So today I'm going to show you guys a Marcon combination table. It's a combination face frame table and door clamping table. It's one of the things I get asked for the most. They're a huge time-saving device, or really clamping and work holding fixture in a cabinet shop. I didn't even know what one of these was 10 years ago. A lot of you guys know I'm a machine guy. I'm not a woodworker or a welder. I'm a machine guy, and that's what I do. So I've never built a set of cabinets in my life, but I've rebuilt a ton of cabinet shop equipment. Didn't even know what one of these things was, either a door clamping or a face frame table, several years ago, and then I started getting asked for them, and I realized it's honestly one of the single most common things I get asked for. And this happens to be both. So a face frame table has a rolling gantry on it, like this one, and a door clamping table has movable cylinders. Like these right here. There's kind of a pegboard pattern. It's a metal kind of a pegboard, and there are little pegs on the back of these cylinders, so you can basically put them in position anywhere you want on this table. And then both of these clamping fixtures are controlled by air, and they both use what's called a squaring channel. If you look down here, this is a very heavily modified table, by the way. We went ahead, we made quite a few improvements on the original Marcon design, kind of melded it with a bit of the Ritter design. So we used Ritter design squaring channels, and what they are is a piece of angle iron, and this happens to be 1 inch by 1 inch by 1/4 inch hot rolled angle iron, and then a piece of cold rolled flat bar stock. It's 1/2 inch by 3/4 inch, which is the same size that Ritter uses, but we use a lot more of the actual hardware holding it in, which is 5/8/16 bolts that also use flat and lock washers, as well as hex nuts, just to hold everything in place. The idea of a squaring channel is there's one here and one on the bottom, and they're at right angles from each other, and you want to be able to adjust that so they're perfectly straight and at a perfect right angle with each other. You put wood on this surface right here at that squaring channel, and it actually squares it up. So whether or not you're using these door clamping cylinders and you press the foot treadle and you'll see them come out right there, and you'll see them come back in right there, or if you're using the face frame gantry. This one right here, again, we really heavily modified this. This actually used slide valves for the face frame valves, which is a horrible design. We really wanted it to be user friendly, so there are 3 toggle valves in there. They clamp very hard. We went ahead, we put new rubber feet on the aluminum foot pads, so it actually holds very solidly, and then they release. So again, you can move this anywhere on the table, forward and backward. And we also, one other thing that we did, and this is a problem with almost all face frame tables with the gantries, is they don't actually have very good stops. So a lot of times, and you'll see that, by the way, this table is on wheels, so if you notice the whole table move, that's because I've got it on dollies. It needs to be mobile around my shop just for me to work. But we actually put solid metal stops in, so it stops right there. Instead of hitting on the wheels, which a lot of them do, which is an absolutely awful design, a lot of them, they actually have bolts that stop on phenolic wheels that absolutely rips up the wheels. So we welded in some solid metal stops for the gantry, so you're not going to be destroying your wheels on your gantry every time you move it to a stop, which you do a lot, especially on your working side. You want to be able to move the gantry off over the squaring channel so that you can set your pieces up, and then you move this in and you hit your clamps. Right now we've got it set up with three door clamp cylinders. I've got, this one is already sold. I've got 4 more of these tables. 2 are going to have 3 of these door clamping cylinders, and these are 3 inch, so they're the same size as the Ritter AC20. However, if you look, I'm going to go ahead and put one out and hold it up. If you can see, these actually have 2 different rods on them. This is probably the single best clamping cylinder design that I've ever seen in my life. Both of these rods go back into the actual piston, and the piston isn't what Ritter uses, which is a double-acting piston cup. This actually uses a solid aluminum piston with a standard U-cup seal and a Teflon backup ring. That is just bulletproof. You're not really going to get any better than that. You can get maybe as good, but you're not really going to get any better than that. And then they have heavy return springs, and it's 2 of them. They come out on bronze bushings, so it's almost with this much. It's almost like they're on linear guides, and it's an incredibly thick front block on this, so you get a lot more support on the rods and double the rods. That is just a huge benefit. The foot treadle that we put on is brand new. It's Heinrich. They're made in Wisconsin. It's a heavy cast foot treadle, so it's going to be a significantly better quality than what Ritter uses. They used to use the Foster slide valves on their foot pedal, which is the same as the slide valve back here. If you look, we did go ahead and we put the slide valves on each one of these cylinders, so you can actuate each cylinder individually, no problem, and that's on each one of these. So you'll see right there, all 3 of them will operate individually or with the foot treadle. The foot treadle, because you're exhausting all 3 cylinders through the same valve, it slows things down just a little bit. That actually gives you a little bit of flow control. That way they're not just popping out and popping back. It operates a little bit more smoothly. I started to say each one of these tables is also going to have some stops. I believe these were custom made, but I got them with these tables, so I'm going to go ahead and include them. There's 3 per table. It's just standard angle iron with a couple of the pegs, so you can put them in, pretty much anywhere, and and they'll just sit right there. I'm going to go ahead and put them out of the way over here. That way they're not interacting with the gantry. But if you wanted to set up 3 stops and all 3 of the door clamping cylinders, you could easily clamp a butcher block if you want, or anything else, stair treads, really anything. So you're not limited to just clamping against the squaring channel, but you can certainly do that as well. As far as the face frame gantry goes, the face frame cylinders are easily movable, and we went ahead and put new springs in each one of them. So they move easily, but they do stay in place. And again, they're very easy to operate right here. We went with 1/4-inch airline and solid metal push connect fittings. You're going to get just a little bit more durability there. We used full 1/8-inch NPT solid metal tubing with solid brass T fittings on this. So that's going to be pretty bulletproof, especially on the area that you're grabbing and moving back and forth a lot. You don't want weak components there. And then we have a solid aluminum manifold over there. There's going to be new O-ring seals on the end cap, new U-cup seals in the actual cylinders themselves. Went ahead and put new O-rings in all of the Foster slide valves. It's got all new airlines on it, both for the door clamping cylinder, going to the Heinrich foot treadle, and for the supply line, also going to supply the gantry, and for all 3 of the cylinders. I do have some extra cylinders as for the face frame part of it, and I have 1 extra face frame gantry as well. So if one of y'all wants a table with 2 face frame gantries, we can do that. I'm going to set up, like I started to say, I'm going to set up 2 of the tables with 3 of the door clamping cylinders. One of them will have 4. It's obviously going to be more, but it'll have 4 of the 3-inch cylinders. I have 1 other. These don't put out the same amount of force, but I do have 6 of these. So it's going to be slightly less force, but I have 6 of these smaller cylinders. The force that comes out on a clamping cylinder is directly proportional to the size of the piston. So when you see a bigger cylinder, it's actually going to put out significantly more force because the pressure that's coming in through the line is pressing on a much larger area, and so it exerts a whole lot more force on the piston rods. So obviously these are not going to have the same pressure. So you really don't want to mix these two cylinders. But one of the tables will have 6 of these. So if you don't need as much pressure on your door put components, especially if you have like a looser fit up, you can actually have 3 of these smaller cylinders over here on this corner. And then on that particular table, we're going to go ahead and weld a 3rd squaring channel off onto the right. And so you could have 3 cylinders on this side as well as 3 cylinders, on this side, and you can actually work on both of the corners of this table. A couple other things I did want to tell you, with the squaring channels, they are solidly welded. We're going to go ahead and weld the sheet. Originally they were attached with self-clenching studs. They work, but I'm not a huge fan of them, so we're going to go ahead and weld everything on the next 4 tables. But they should be ready in a couple weeks from now. I don't mind delivering them if you're close. With the price of fuel these days, I might charge you a little bit, but it won't be too terrible. We did go ahead and paint them. We used an industrial enamel with an acrylic hardener in it. And so they've got a pretty decent paint job on them. I mean, it's not automotive quality, but it's incredibly high quality for the tool world, for sure. But yeah, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me. Be happy to answer any questions you got on them. I'll be throwing them up on probably Craigslist and Facebook, and a couple other places. I probably am going to have 3 to 4 of them sold pretty quickly, so there'll probably only be 1 or 2 hanging around here. And I don't expect them really to last, honestly, even a month. So definitely reach out if you want them, but I thought I'd go ahead and show you this. You don't see too many of the Marcons. I drove all the way out to California for these tables. They're incredibly rare. Like I said, there are a lot of things I really do like about the Marcons. They use more caster wheels. They've got a very simple design. Absolutely hated the Foster slide valves. We definitely wanted to go with the lever valves. I did like the fact that they have Foster slide valves, and I actually like the fact that they use a 1/8 inch instead of a 1/4 inch, just because it acts as a little bit of flow control to slow these down, as opposed to a flow control valve that's pretty problematic. I definitely like the frame design of these. They're going to be a little bit thinner on the tabletop than the Ritter. However, they've got a larger hole, which will actually support the weight just a little bit better as well, and I like their pattern better. Their clamping cylinders are the best I've ever seen, though. They're significantly better than the Ritter AC20 or really any other clamping cylinder I've ever seen on the door clamps. Ritter does have better face frame clamps, however. So you give and you take. They are 6 feet instead of 5 feet tall, and they're 8 feet long instead of 12 feet long. So they're shorter in length, but they're taller in height. And other than that, and the gantry tracks do stick out just a little bit less than the Ritter, so you get a little bit of savings there. I think that's about it. But yeah, I'll be putting out some videos on Ritter's tables, and then I'm actually about to start going into production on face frame and door clamping tables myself, so we'll have some originals for you before too long. Definitely don't hesitate to reach out. Hope you guys enjoy the video.